60% of the time for knowledge workers is spent on communication, right? So it's not actually getting the work done. So we found that so inefficient that if you actually think about it, like value that you're creating is only like 30 to 40% of your time.
Adrian, BCG talks about, AI taking the toil out of work. And Maestro, this is what you're doing. How are you bringing this to life?
First thing we notice when working with organizations is that actually 60% of the time for knowledge workers is spent on communication, right? So it's not actually getting the work done, but it's aligning with your boss, what you're planning on doing. It's letting leadership know what are the results of the actions you're doing, what's the progress, and so on, right? And so we found that so inefficient that if you actually think about it, like value that you're creating is only like 30 to 40% of your time. And so when we started looking at all of this, we figured out email was actually a big part of it. And so we started building AI email agents and assistants because we realized so much time was spent there. So we started with email, our product was Mail Maestro, and then we moved towards meetings, right? Because it's like, okay, again, communication, you're spending so much time repeating the same thing. And so we built an AI assistant for meetings, which is like taking notes, summarizing decisions, sharing key actions, making sure the team is always on point. You did not make the meeting because you have a separate meeting. You can still get those notes and so on. And the efficiencies we're seeing are incredible. Just as a matter of fact, like I remember when I started BCG, this was over 10 years ago. Whenever we would have an expert interview, it would be, you had like consultant like asking the questions, and then you have like an associate just taking as many notes as you could, right? And then after that, like you still had to like summarize those notes and make them pretty and send them on an email to your partner and so on. And now it's like I have an AI agent that's taking those notes. They're perfect. Like it doesn't miss any details. It generates an amazing summary that gets sent automatically to my partner. So like they get that information automatically. But most importantly is then the partner has the full transcript, and the partner can actually, with AI, talk to that meeting, even if he was not there. So we're seeing just some incredible new use cases and incredible efficiency in that sense.
So across the companies that Maestro is servicing, where are you seeing the best use cases?
I would put it down into maybe like two different buckets. One of them would be any roles that are external facing, right? So where communication is very heavy, right? So think about like business development, think about sales, think about customer success, and so on. They tend to be relatively repetitive in many cases. And I mean, there's value in all of them, but like a lot of like small value and repetitive tasks. So for example, we have automated a big amount of our customer support email stuff because the questions are almost always the same. And so all of those questions, the AI actually can like create a first draft. And then what we have is we always have a human in the loop, right? Where like they just approve, make small changes, and then send it over. But I would say like people are happier because those were like, you're just saying the same thing 10 times a day,
Mind-numbing.
It's so crazy, right? But like those people are super, super happy because they're getting so much done, and they get to work on the interesting stuff, right? Like they get to work on the edge cases, on the things that are not super obvious. And so I think you're making like work more valuable for these people, and you're spending less time on toil.
Work more valuable, less time on the toil. That's the key. Thank you so much.